be a remake of the Charles Dickens classic Great Expectations. Change the storyline, introduce some new players, and you have the cast and plot for the 91 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Never before has a season promised so much. The old firm of Peter Brock and Larry Perkins are saddle pals once again in a pair of new VM Commodores, and they promise to give Wyn Percy and the factory team one tough year. And while the Sierra defectors Longhurst and Jones have been struck by a bout of M3 malaria, multi-titleist Dick Johnson and the Nissan GT-R duo of Richards and Scaife still believe they have the winning edge. It's Holden versus Ford, Nissan and BMW for the 91 Championship. 7 Sport welcomes you to Melbourne's Sandown Raceway and the opening round of horsepower hostilities.
Good afternoon, Australia. I'm Mike Raymond. Welcome to Sandown International Motor Raceway and, of course, the commencement of the 1991 Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship. Well, who's going to win today? Everyone says Jim Richards, but I suspect probably the reason that so big a crowd has turned out today is that Peter Brock renews his acquaintance with Holden. How competitive will the Holden be? Well, our own Niels on Wheels is out there to test the Magic V8.
Thanks, Mike. As we all know, touring car racing is really dull, but keeping the competition close is a very difficult juggle for CAMS and the touring car entrance group. This fabulous sound that you're about to hear is the Mobil 1 Racing Peter Brock Commodore. Holden, like each of the major brands, has received some special treatment over summer, so let's go and have a look at exactly who got what from Santa last Christmas.
Last year's champions had everybody worried by the time the Oran Park Grand Final was run. The Nissan GT-R crushed the pack, so it's been nobbled for 91. The GT-R's vital statistics are very impressive. The high-tech 6-cylinder twin-turbo produces a staggering 620 horsepower, and through its four-wheel drive technology can put it all to the road. To keep the Nissan honest, it's been forced to put on 15 kilograms since last season. The Ford Sierra has lost some supporters this season. The Brock and Longhurst teams have jumped the Sierra ship, but this car can still win races. To address the imbalance between the Sierra and the rest last year, the potent little Ford carried an extra 85 kilos. This season, the weight penalty has been removed. In addition, the car can use a 6-speed gearbox, and with more than 500 horsepower and at just 1,100 kilograms, Ford fans can still look forward to some top results. In the sprint races last year, the ageing VL Holden Commodore didn't make the grade, but in each of the Enduros, the big V8 made its presence felt. For 91, the Holden makes a competitive comeback. The new shape of the VN penetrates the air better than the last car, and the numbers look much better. The new inlet manifold freedoms mean more power, and the once bulky Commodore has slimmed down 75 kilograms to 1,250. Later in the year, around June, a 6-speed gearbox will also be available to Commodore runners. Cast your mind back to 1987, and the car to beat was the JPS BMW M3. The nimble fuel-injected BM was a giant killer. More recently, the car, in an evolution form, is still winning races overseas, and this season we'll quickly learn the M3 is back in a big way. Using the German rules as a base, the BMW now has more capacity and power, less weight and more rubber. This prompted the return of the factory-backed cars, and on certain tracks, these cars will be hard to beat. It all boils down to different winners at different tracks. The Nissan has great power and traction, but it's heavy. The BMW is light, but it's also light on power. If we analyse each on paper, focusing on power versus weight, the Sierra is still the package, carrying just 2.73 kilograms for every kilowatt of grunt, but it's hard on its rubber. The Nissan carries almost 3 kilograms for every unit of power, but weight and brakes are its weak point. The trusty V8 Holden comes in at slot 3 with 3.22 kilograms per kilowatt. And the new-look BMW doesn't look as strong on paper, but be assured, it's consistent and will wear down the opposition, especially on the tight tracks.